Right. The question now, though, is who has the first take of this episode?
For me to do it?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, do it. Take it.
I mean, I'll do it. Let's start off with the best one for me, I think. And that is that Zonic and the whole coaching staff / management for Falcons needs to be sacked today. Like literally today, April 1st of 2025, and we're recording.
And this isn't an April Fool's. No, exactly.
Yeah, it's not a joke. There's nothing funny about this one.
Okay.
Like 100%. When you take a look of like things that can be happening in that team around those lineups and these players and everything else in the last 15, 16 months since the switch was made from the old Falcons with not Boros, but MHL and all these Loungs and all these people, and Aussie Striker was the coach and whatnot, right? Ever since then, they invested not several, like I feel like it could be $10 million so far in different aspects of the lineup, right? In different areas, they accomplished total of nothing. If you even compare it to the old lineup, like these guys have been playing all the events for the 15 months. They came to the final twice. One 2 months ago and one in the Challenger where they lost to Complexity 2-0 back in 2024, right? Outside of that, they have a couple of semifinals, and that is pretty much it. They had a good lineup in the last year. They have a better lineup on paper right now, together with one of the GOATs of the game. And they're not even close to moving at all in terms of their game. Not a centimeter or an inch, whatever you're looking from. It's just nothing. If you think it's deeply, it's even going backwards. It's regressing. They're playing such a bad Counter-Strike that is impossible even to watch them and find anything positive in their game outside of individual flashes of performance here and there from Nico, and sometimes Dexter, sometimes Tessus, doesn't really matter who it is. But altogether they have been playing a shitty Counter-Strike, and for me it comes down to not just the team, it comes down to the decision making behind the team, which includes the people in the organization, which includes the coach and the coaching staff, whoever that may be, right? And on top of that, we have Zonic giving these interviews where I don't know what the fuck is he saying. When he comes in and says Nico is the best CT caller that I have ever worked with, and he won all these things with Glaive, with Magus, who is still on the team, who made some calls there in a certain period of time. And they won all these things. With Falcons, they have not come close to even be a top 5 team right now at all. And he is the best he has worked with. But where are the fucking results? On top of that, he goes in an interview and says listen, you cannot build a team from zero or whatever the fuck, right? No, you cannot build a team from the zero. People can do it. Now, what I said at the beginning, they all need to be fired. That doesn't mean that, he needs to be kicked or fired from the fucking planet Earth and Counter-Strike. He will probably land in another top team. He's probably more likely than not, have a success in another top team, because obviously he has something good with him, right? But for this project in particular, he has not done anything. Literally anything. And he has been the one, from what we know, that has been making the calls in the roster together with their head of esports, that Grant guy, whatever the fuck his name is. The same person who goes on Twitter, I believe, and that's the same person that complains about the voice comm on the being played on Twitter. And, instead of fixing the things inside the game, he gets the balls to go there and says something like that. And then he even adds to it, saying, listen, the other coaches have also, commented on this. It was only Mitter. And Taz said something whatever, something in general. And that's it, right? He focuses on that, not on the 16 months of bad decision making, millions of dollars spent, 60+ K salaries. I can tell you that much right now, which is what I know. On some players is 60K, and the coaches 60K plus.
A month.
A month, people. A month. This is what you can support. Gamer Legion can be sustained for 2 months with 60K. One player or the coach is being paid one salary a month, obviously, for the same amount that you can sustain a team like Gamer Legion for 2 months, or not to mention the other teams. And the results are like this. And they even complain about this shit, about this fucking thing. And then the cherry on top of the fucking cake is this timeout. I have never seen anything worse
That was crazy.
in my fucking life. Listen, I had bad timeouts. I had bad calls in the timeouts. I had good timeouts. I had heated timeouts in my fucking past. But I have never had anything like this. I kept rewatching it. I kept re-listening it. If you can see, like, Kixon is looking back like this at some point and waiting for the coach to call something, waiting for give him the instruction, because Kixon is an IGL who is an IGL, like, in the game, like, literally, like it says his role. Outside of the game, he's not a leader. He's just a dude, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Magisk is saying some shit about, like, rounds being unlucky. Who the fuck wants to hear about that shit in the fucking 30 seconds that I have you? I'm the coach. Shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear it. If the rounds are lucky or unlucky. Like, if it's in a sense that you need to, like, motivate people, just say, forget about it, let's move on. Not the rounds have been unlucky and then somebody has a reply, maybe not, and then Dexter says, what? It's like they landed on the moon without any communication devices at all. Just what? And then Nico, being Nico, people gave him shit for it, but he was looking back and he was waiting for Zonic to call something. And then he obviously didn't call anything. He was like, yeah, you're gonna do something or I should call it, right? Not in the sense you fucking whatever. It was like, you're gonna do your job or should I do it for you? That was between the lines, right? Because he wants to do that thing that's necessary at that very moment of the timeout. The 17 seconds is the video. 17 seconds. Zonic says, oh, I'm just thinking. What are you thinking about? You think about things that you want to say and fucking call before you call the timeout. You see that that's the shit that's happening behind you're standing behind your team. You see the shit is happening. You call a timeout, instantly say what you need to do or what you need to correct. Maybe you say, listen, Tessis, you fucking whatever. Just fucking, you're not talking, you didn't get enough information, like, on multiple rounds, you need to say exactly what you see here, or you need to save your nades, or you need to use your nades, or just individual, like, any kind of direction, all team call. He says nothing, and he's listening to Magus saying that rounds have been unlucky, and Dexter replying with, what? And that's it. And you tell me that person is paid $50,000-$60,000 a month, together with other people, for 16 months total? Without any result, without any kind of critiquing or any kind of consequences. If anybody else can get critiqued and kicked and, talked about his failures, he can be, and then his coaching staff can be too. And that also includes the Falcons fucking management. Like, whoever is in charge, the Crown Prince or whatever his name is, hit me up. I'll give you 2 months for free. Free trial. To see how things are done. With the proper funding. Because this is shit. You're ruining again another fucking.
To be fair, that wouldn't be the first time.
Fucking...
That wouldn't be the first time you give an org free coaching. So.
Yeah. I'm used to it by now. All right, that's my rant. You go answer.
Okay. Just a few key points for this one. That I talked to Zipnix on the desk at Blast. And asked him about Zonic and the timeouts and what Zonic did. I was like, okay, what was the average Zonic timeout, in the heyday of Astralis? And he said, the first thing he said was that he thinks that Zonic is a great moral support. It wasn't tactics. It was that he's really good at just kind of helping everybody get into the right mentality. And that, to me, said, like, that was a huge red flag, because that's kind of what I feel like has been bubbling up lately in terms of even what Dupree has said on the desk at Blast also about Zonic, that he was just a good moral leader. And the more that I've heard from ex-Astralis players now, the less I think that actually Zonic was part of creating the strategies that made them as good as they are. I think he probably instilled a great philosophy for the team to make sure that they played off of each other and everything like that. But in terms of actually coming up with a strategy, I have to at this point just assume this was Glaive. I just kind of have to. Like, I can't really, like, nothing has been given to me lately that's like, oh yeah, Zonic come up with this. It's more just like, yeah, he like kept us together, made sure we're like in the right mindset for it. And that's clearly not what a team like Falcons really need. I mean, I think that the results at this point are impossible to ignore for Zonic and his tenure with Falcons. He's been with them for now, how long? He's been with them for about a year and a half.
Year and a half, yes.
Yeah, he's been with them for about 1 year and 6 months. They've missed 2 majors, and all in all, they would have missed this major if they didn't just buy the spot.
And Maui, yes, sorry to interrupt you. I forgot that part. Like, I got so agitated every time I talk about it. But the thing is, like, they don't deserve to be on this fucking major.
No.
Yeah, they bought the spot.
Yeah, no, you look. This is why on like Snake and Banter recently, I made it my ugly point for how much Cluj affected the rankings because this whole season for Falcons is this 9th to 16th. They didn't even make it to the land portion of the Blast Bounty, which means they didn't even get in the top 8. They were 13th to 16th at Katowice, which means they were dead last. They were dead last after the play-in. They came in 2nd place at Cluj, which is like their one good result. ESL Pro League, they didn't make the playoffs. And again, this is like an ESL Pro League where it's pretty softball. Like they lost the teams they lost to in the group stage were 3D Max, Eternal Fire, and Mouse. And like I'm not saying that's they lost to 3D Max, which is already bad. But the other 2 teams are pretty good. Like Mouse and Eternal Fire are not bad teams, but then at the Blast Open Spring, huh?
Oh, then Mouse isn't a bad team. Fucking understatement of the century. What are you talking about? Why are you building up? Why are you making some fugazi ass like Tom? I guess Mouse is all right. They're like the second best team in fucking Counter-Strike. What?
No, I'm saying Eternal Fire and okay.
Eternal Fire would be in your top 5 with a gun to your head right now.
I think he meant Mouse is not a team is like embarrassing to lose. It's not a bad team to lose.
Losing to Eternal Fire.
Go on.
Yeah. But then at the Blast Open Spring, they lost to who they lose again. They lost to Mouse, which is yes, Mouse is a top team, okay. But then they lost to Virtus Pro. But let me remind people the way they lost to VP, they were up a map and they were up 9-3 on an Ancient, and they were on what was it? Ancient CT side, I'm pretty sure. They were on Ancient T side. Ancient T side.
Inferno, right?
Well, they were up as well. They were up on 2 maps. They were up on 2. Yeah. They were up.
I remember turning off the stream. I was like, "Yeah, this is over. Like, I need to go do something." All of a sudden, I come back. They're lost.
Yeah, they were up 9-3. They were up 9-3 on Ancient, and technically they were up 12-10 at one point. On Inferno, they were up 12-5. They were up 12-5, and they lost that. So the way they lost was just one of the most humiliating losses of the season for any team. You're up a map. You're up 9-3 on one map, you lose that one. Okay, sure, you move on. But then you're up 12-5, you lose that one. It's like, that's where I would almost expect like a moral coach is going to help me out of that kind of situation. It's like, how are we going to choke twice? So the body of work for Zonic on Falcons has just been abysmal. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that he's a fraud for what he did for like
should he be fired?
Like and then it brings to the point now, every piece that has been with Zonic on Falcons has gotten worse. Every single piece has gotten worse since he has worked with them on Falcons. I don't know if that is because he hasn't adapted to CS2. I don't know if that's because he was never really a tactical coach at all. Or I don't know if he's making so much money that it's hard for him to focus. Because we've seen that with players before. We saw that was the death of the original Golden 5 VP lineup with Neo, Taz, all those guys, is that once they started making 30K a month, you never really cared about them again. Like, they just stopped caring.
Maui, let me answer. Let me tell you this before Duncan steps in. The thing is, like, if you are making 30, 50, 40, 50,000 a month as a coach, you're not a tactical coach. Take 10,000 and hire a staff for you if the org is not going to support it. Like, take a less salary. Say, listen, I want to, instead of 40, I want to get 30. But I want 10K to be like distributed to these like tactical people. 2 people. One will be that I trust in. I go around the scene. I see who is a good analyst, who is a good assistant coach. I put one as a defensive, one as an offensive, on the T side and the CT side, and that's how I help myself. No, I'm just gonna grab all the money. I'm gonna put all the tactical responsibilities on the fucking team or whoever is in the team. Then I'm just gonna fucking clap my hand and say good job or bad job. And also, what is that Lars doing as well? Making sure they're eating bananas enough and fucking micronutrients? Like, where is the fucking psychological aspect of that guy as well? Because he seems to be talked about so much that he's the best in the business, and they keep losing 12-5, 12-3s advantages.
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole fucking point of my hot take. Like, all these things together, like, they make a pretty fucking clear picture.
Yeah, I just to be flat about it also, like, I thought this Falcons team was guaranteed to be a real top 6 contender, I'd say. Like, you take the heroic core that made top 8 at the major, then you add Nico, who is just like still like a top 3 rifler in the game, and whatever, Magisk is a side grade to Shush in my eyes, but still it's not bad. And they're 9th, but like barely holding on to that, and it's mostly just because of the points they've already gotten in the past. Like,
yes.
You know, everything has gotten worse, and like I don't know if I can really watch anymore. Like, is Zonic gonna make me think another IGL that I rated pretty highly is bad again? Because I've seen it now with Snappy, and I'm seeing it with Kicksand. Like, I don't think these are bad IGLs, but once they work with Zonic, they just get 40% worse. So yeah, I think I okay. You know what? Yeah, okay, flat out. I agree with the take.
No, everybody's getting worse. Who made those calls? Like, who made those calls to bring those people? Coach plus whoever is like in charge, the head of esports, head of fucking brain trust there that doesn't know what the fuck are they doing. Go, Duncan. My
problem with the take is, so much of the way you built it up was just about the fucking 17 seconds of timeout video you saw. Like, what I don't get is, if I were you, I wouldn't have over-indexed into that part. I'd have just said stuff like use a sports angle. If you have a lot of budget and you don't win and you're supposed to be on like a big club in football, yeah, you get fired. That's how it goes. By the way, that goes whether you're on Real Madrid. If people even made the argument, and it wasn't a terrible argument, that maybe even though they'd just given him a contract, maybe Guardiola would get fired from Man City, because you remember at one point in time, they looked like they were going to go down to like 7th or something insane in the league. So, like, I don't hate that angle. I do think there are certain clubs that are like, we need to win now. We've given you the money. Where the results, like, that is a certain culture some people want. The reason I find this a bit puzzling to me is within all of the stuff you said, this is why I pulled Maui up on the like, Mouse and Eternal Fire are not bad. It's like, mate, if they're not bad, there's one team in the Counter-Strike that's good. It's just Vitality, that's it. Like, what are we even doing if they're not bad? Like, what I don't get is, why sex up the story? Like, if they're bad and they're losing to everyone and they're not even good in the game, then why not mention, Kassad, in your entire rant that Nico didn't join the team? Why is that not relevant?
What was that?
Right, so you just mentioned about how Zonic, one of the main reasons, one of the number, like, pillar one of why he must be fired is he didn't get any results last year. Are we going to pretend that Nico didn't essentially do, like, the ultimate saboteur move, let you build the whole squad, say, I'm definitely coming, and then the second he's about to put pen to paper, go, joke's on you, I'm off, see ya. Like, are we going to pretend that didn't happen?
But is that the whole reason why they sucked the?
Did I say that? You didn't even mention it. You didn't even mention it. Wasn't even worth mentioning. Why would I mention it? Right. So
why would I mention it when the lineup was supposed to be good enough?
No, and in no universe was that lineup without Nico supposed to be good enough to win tournaments. That's a ridiculous statement.
Supposed to be good enough, not to win, to be competitive. I didn't say anywhere that they should win all the titles. And your comparison about Manchester City and Pep Guardiola, okay, let's take it like that, because Falcons should be Manchester City, right? In a theory. Or Paris Saint-Germain. Yeah, but let's say Manchester City. Manchester City, the first season with Pep Guardiola, was third in the fucking thing. They lost in the quarterfinals of FA Cup or Carabao Cup or whatever the fuck. And they lost at the round of 16 of Champions League. Okay. That's just the first season. 6 seasons after, they were top 1 club, except for that one season when the Liverpool won. They won the Champions League, they won the triple, they won everything. 6 titles. And they, the players turned them down. They didn't get all the players in the first and the second season. They got your Sergio Aguero. They got all these, Fernandinhos and all these fucking players. And they didn't get, whoever is the best. They didn't get Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi for Barcelona. Because Nico is kind of a Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo or whoever you want to compare him right now. They still win 6 titles in Premier League, which is the hardest league to win a title in. Falcons have done nothing. Yes, Nico fucked their plans. Yeah, he did. That's fair for you to say. I'm not denying it, but not in the sense that they're this bad. Bad to the point that they cannot. Maui said it nicely. They cannot reach out of the group stage to the playoffs of the fucking Pro League. That's not even a tier 1 event.
Here's my problem. You guys made it sound so bad, but it's actually for me, it's right on the line of that, you don't need a lot for them to be in every single one of these playoffs. They're not even a million miles off. If you look at the list of teams they've lost to, so they lost to Pain. By the way, Pain aren't even bombs. Like they're playing a lot of teams close. I agree with the 3D Max one. By the way, a few episodes ago, Maui was saying they're one of the best team sides in the world. Like everyone else is loving 3D Max. I think they shouldn't beat them. I'm with you on that. They lost to Mouse twice. Mouse beats everyone except Vitality. They lost to Eternal Fire twice. Eternal Fire beat a lot of teams in Counter-Strike. And the one that I think's dodgy is when they lost to G2 at Katowice. But even then, like, whatever. Like, that was a close game too. They've beaten Mouse. By the way, very few other teams have. They've beaten Eternal Fire, one of the best teams in the world. They've beaten FaZe, who maybe is a bit more sketch. Like, if you look at the results, like, they're this close in most of these series to winning. They could have been in the playoffs. Like, that's why I made it about, is it about winning tournaments? Like, is this like, here's what I don't get about it. I'll do the same thing people did with the Huxley argument. If I fire Zonic tomorrow, by the way, I just told you, there's a sporting angle by which you could fire him. You've had essentially 2 entire roster worths of players and you haven't got results yet. By the way, even if I'm doing but you could I'm paying you to get the results, right? Is the argument, right? Here's the question, Locasad. If I fire Zonic today, this is a hot take, admittedly. If I fire him today, who am I getting to replace him? Like, who's coming in the door that's going to do a better job with this squad and make them, like, playoff team? Like, you think there's a lot of people can do it?
Yeah, not a lot, but there are multiple options right now in the market. Right?
But I mean,
like
people you can get, though. Like, presumably you can't get Blade, we're going to assume that. Let's take him off the board for a second. Right? Beyond that, though, what are you doing? Are you getting Psycro? Who are you getting aside from that? Which coach are you bringing in?
Yeah, you approach Ash, for example. Like,
okay.
Maybe he... Put him up. See what he can do. He has earned enough credit to be in that spotlight.
Sure, but I will say, to give you the sporting example, he's David Moyes, mate. For all you know, we don't know yet. We can't know. Maybe it'll be awesome.
He could be Eric Ten Hag.
Maybe. By the way, I'm with you. I do think, like in sports, they've earned their shot. It's just you can't know that if you give them the equals of the world, they'll operate the same way, right?
But it will be a fair shot that he wouldn't be paid fucking millions of dollars.
I don't think it's a bad take.
The thing is, like, it's just money spent against what you got. If they were progressively better through the months, and you can see the clear improvements on stuff. Remember 2024, they started with a hot Katowice run, right? Semifinals. They did. And I was fine. Listen, semifinals, that's more than, enough, considering everything. After that, just full drop. Missed one major, missed second major, changed players, got Dupree, then got Simple to stand in, kicked some pies, brought back fucking people, then bought another core. Like, what the fuck are you doing? That's the whole point. What the fuck are you doing with all this funding? Like, I understand, like, the Saudis, they don't care, but they just pocket change for them. But, it's at some point they would want a result. Like, they're not fools. Like, they're not idiots. These people are not idiots. They will want result or they will
put it this way. Away. What would make this more convincing to me is this, Kassad. If I actually did know, and I don't know this, sadly, like even when I've heard stories I've mentioned on this show in the past, like I've heard, for example, so let's just say some people within Falcons asked for Malbs before he went to G2. They already identified this is like a shit hot player. Let's get him in. He could even be our Boros sort of guy. And I was told they just didn't get given him, which, by the way, sounds to me, it was delivered to me, Kassad, more like all those stories you'll have heard back in the day from Yanko and Nico about how in FaZe you'd be like, just sign this player, and then they would never get it done. They'd go away, they'd listen, and then suddenly 2 months later, you're like, what's going on? Where's the player? And then you find out that they haven't even like started the negotiation. It made it sound like that. So my problem is this, Kassad. If I really knew that it was actually Zonic's decision, like he was like, actually, Dupree's the right player, then I'd say fire him tomorrow. If I knew it was like Simple will save everything, then fire him. Totally kiss. But I don't know. In those scenarios, I'm a bit torn. Part of me thinks, like, for example, in the Dupree, when he was willing to gamble because it's his boy and he had all the success and vitality in Australia. But part of me also feels like he was sort of painted into a corner, and he probably had quite a bad shortlist of players there. Like, I don't think he had a shortlist, Kassad, that said like fucking, I mean, I couldn't say Nertz and Spinks because they're Israeli and we know that angle fucking ruins it. But let's say the list was, like, I'm assuming it also wasn't Nico because he was going to join at the end of the year. But let's say the list was other top players. Let's say it was Exertion, like he's Israeli too, whatever. Pick someone, I don't know, fucking Toshi, there you go. Yeah, exactly. Real players that could join. I don't think it was a list like that and then he picked Dupree off that list. I imagine if it was Dupree, the rest of the list was like config, like some ridiculous ones that no one would join from,
The thing is, like, there was a list that you can do and loan players. Like, you don't have to go to Dupree, who is 31 years old. You put him on a squad that he doesn't play just because he's a free agent, and you still pay him over, like, 20,000 or whatever the fuck was it. Isn't it better to pay less monthly and pay a loan to
essentially, my argument is
most...
I'd need to know how much of the GMing actually Zonic was involved in. If he was involved, then fire him. Because, by the way, I said this when Dupree joined. I never thought that was ever the move. That never made any... To me, Dupree was so...
Let's think logically.
But it's weird. To me, that move, for real, Kassad, is like signing Rain and then saying he's going to be your Nico. It's like, it's so many years gone now, mate. Like, that's not even a role they can conceively play. Like, you would never put them in that role. So, to me, I do think that's a bridge too far.
And also, the thing is, like, with this, like, planning, the more money you have, the more money is involved, the scaling is so much bigger, right? And the responsibilities are much bigger. You're not running a $20,000 operation there. You are running a multi-million-dollar business that you need to be paying attention to. If Nico fucked them over in December and said no, you immediately think of what are we doing with Nico?
Absolutely.
Are we attacking him in June? Are we attacking him in the end of 2024? The same thing is going for Monesi right now. His contract is expiring. I'm messaging them every 3 days. What's going on? Are we making a deal? Are we not making a deal? What is the offer? Like, doing all these things, planning 6 months ahead. Because once this is over and those 6 months pass and your plan that you have in mind works, then you can start actually playing. They bought this core because that was available. And Heroic just said, like, oh yeah, few $1 million. Okay, boom. And then the same thing happened. They were panicking back in November 2023 or December. They were panicking last year. And now they didn't learn their mistakes. So is it Zonic? Is it that fucking Grant? Is it Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia himself? I don't know who it is. Whoever it is, he should be fine.
Anyway, I will just say this. 2 things. One, I think that's why I said to me, if I were you, I would have just focused on he hasn't accomplished anything yet and it's a team that demands results or you've had millions he didn't. I think that's a stronger argument. I think the 2 arguments of like you're losing all these close games so it's your fault. It's like, I don't even get that. Because by the way, here's what I don't get about why you'd even build that up. You just did the Kicksan comparison. Bro, Heroic was terrible at fucking closing games out. That was when your boy Saw was there. Kicksan and Saw combined lost. Mate, they should have beaten Navi and won IM Rio. They should have won fucking Elisa Masters. They should have beaten G2 at the fucking major. They had a million teams right on the hook and they let them go. So I'm sorry, I have to say, I think Kicksan is definitely not sure he's some super clutch closer. He's had those issues in other teams, so it's not as simple for me.
Absolutely.
And also that angle of like, I now think he was a semi-fraud in fucking Astralis and Vitality. Child, please. Like, first of all, that would be like saying, cause Cold Zero socks now, he was never the best player in Counter-Strike. He could be bad one year and really good in the past. Like, you can have variable form. You can have reasons outside the game. Like you're saying, you can have reasons like when you're super hungry and you're way up and you're building your rep, you tend to be more driven than when you have already got the rep and it's like, can he do it again? I agree with you on that psychology. So I just think you went a bit too hard on that one, especially because
no,
if it had only been Astralis, that's an easier argument. Mate, where was Glaive in Vitality? Did I miss something? No one
there was Zyvo with Vitality.
And not a single person that year told me Apex was the best IGL. I'll tell you that much.
Sorry?
In 2023, no human in the world ever said Apex is the best IGL.
No, but they multiple humans said the Zyvo is the best player. But it doesn't really matter. That's beside the point. What I'm trying to say is here, like, for people thinking that we are trashing Zonic, me particularly, and I want him to take away.
You did say if he went to another team, he could have success.
It has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
Like, the guy is still, despite the failure, he's still one of the greatest, most successful coaches in the history of the game.
Cassad, I'll give you a great example of a coaching case in football very recently like this. So you know Thomas Tuchel, who just got announced as the England manager now, and everyone thinks that's a great move because if you're a fan of England, you know the problem is it's a cup competition, and that guy was the shit at like Chelsea and other squads in cups, right? But he did just do that year when he went to Bayern Munich and he had Harry Kane, and Bayern Munich always wins the Bundesliga, and he didn't win. And by the way, that's totally fine if you then fire him for that reason. Like, you had everything, everyone expected you to do it, you didn't. But I agree with you. It doesn't mean you'd shit. That's what it's more the Maui angle on that one. Like, I don't know why.
It means that he fucked up this project completely. That's
you could say that,
I want him removed there and then put someone else, and you go somewhere else, and you might have success. Like, there's nothing like questionable about that.
But it's weird. The last thing I'll say is this:
current Falcons
I do think that the 17-second timeout thing's overblown, though. The real reason why is this, Cassad.
No, it's not.
Because here's the problem.
I have been a part of timeouts, Duncan. I know what it is.
You do, well, here's the problem.
Million timeouts.
You literally don't need to fucking speculate based on a public timeout. Mate, you can DM any player you want. Privately, ask them all. I could get this information tomorrow. Privately ask them, is it like that in other timeouts? Is this like, was that a one-off? Did they catch him on a bad moment and then they highlighted it to make him look stupid? Or is that like a real trend? If it's a real trend, by the way, eventually this guy will be exposed. Eventually there will be the interviews years down the line where people like, he didn't really do anything. He was just there for moral support, blah, 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 all the rest of it. Although, by the way, I will never downplay that aspect. Spoiler, I'll tell you right now, Maui, you know all that, like, where's the moral support? Team Liquid never had that aspect, and I think that's one of the reasons they weren't any fucking good with the Dread. Like, the guy used to stand behind him and go, oh, well, lol, guess we lose again. Like, that's why I always used to say, I wish my boy Zeus had stayed. That was his, like, fucking specialty. It was exactly that sort of thing.
And Meter is like Zonic on steroids.
I was talking about Liquid from years ago in 2019, mate, but never mind. It's all good.
Okay, never mind. But I'm trying to say, like, now they were going for the same type of coach and they just kicked him, basically. But in 2019, yeah, they were lacking that. They had, like, whatever.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.